Hello. Hi, Setu. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Harsha. How are you?
Very well, very well. Thank you, and lovely to see you after 25 years.
Likewise.
Okay, just to let you know, we are live on all our social media channels. And I'd like to welcome all our viewers and presently all the participants in the room. Thank you for staying with us through the day. We have with us a very well accomplished, seasoned professional who's actually my schoolmate and has got all the necessary names in his CV. He's a seasoned and accomplished professional renowned for his exceptional expertise and contribution to the field of human resources, technology, and AI. With a career spanning over 2 decades, Setu has emerged as a prominent figure in the industry, lauded for his achievements and accomplishment. And he is serving as a global human capital management product strategy senior director at Oracle US headquarters. He possesses remarkable aptitude for driving AI initiatives, digital transformation, and for enterprise companies in calculating data-driven decision making in product management and exploring the use of emerging technologies. He's worked for Oracle, KPMG India, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and more. Thank you for joining us, Setu.
Thanks a lot, Harsha, for the warm introduction and setting up such a lovely event.
Thank you. Now, Setu, it is quite intriguing to see your journey in this sector, and especially the evolution in AI when AI has just come into everybody's eyes and attention. So, to begin with, could you take us through your professional journey and how have you seen the technology and AI evolve from operational tools into strategic drivers for business transformation?
All right. So thanks, Harsha, and thanks everyone for staying back. Uh, my journey quite mirrors the enterprise technology evolution that has been happening over the last 20 odd years. Uh, I started my career in consulting, helping organization digitize HR and their enterprise processes. The conversion then was more to do with automation, enterprise implementation, and driving efficiencies. Today, as we talk about it, it's all about building more intelligent solution systems, building predictive solutions, and building agentic solutions which are completely autonomous in terms of decision making, more to do with augmentation or human augmentation. There were three distinct technology eras that we kind of spanned through over the last 20 odd years. The very first one was the ERP era, where everything was a system of transactions. So the major thing at that point of time was capturing transactions, where we all were, I think, digitizing or doing digital enablement. The second era came, which came to be known as the cloud era, where everything wanted to move to cloud for better connectivity, connected enterprises across different functions, uh, and moving the cape from the capex to opex part of the exercise, and a host of other efficiencies brought in with that. And the third era, spanning especially the last 5 odd years, this has been the AI era for technology, where it's more to do with running, augmenting human, running enterprises which are able to think, and transitioning from system of transactions to system of outcome. So the progression has been fundamentally changing the business value that is being brought to the market. When I talk about product strategy, that has changed the most. So while earlier the expectation was that most of the things need to be feature driven, the customers today ask more about productivity, more about how can AI reduce effort, how is AI more sustainable, how can it predict problems, how can it recommend the next best action? And that's where AI has become a part of product strategy and not just an add-on product feature for us. A few of my best learnings across the time period were that AI should begin with technology. It should begin with a business problem wherein we have the strategy to begin with, and thereafter AI follows.
That's very interesting take. Would you consider to give at least one example that comes to the top of your mind?
Oh, sure. So very recently, I think you might have heard Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella famously saying that every software company today is going to become an AI company. In line with that, not just Microsoft, but even Oracle and host of other companies have reframed, recoined their events and initiatives from cloud world to AI world and a host of other changes. Uh, and it's an ecosystem play. What I mean by that is that it need not be an add-on that it's opened in a separate browser where somebody copy pastes what is being generated, but it needs to be intertwined and integrated in the business in the flow of work. So that's where not just Microsoft, but most of the technologies today are creating AI, which is pervasive across all business needs, thereby making it enabling it from a strategic capability point of view to transform everything that we do going forward.
That's a very interesting take. Although you tell me that integration is the main thing that is required, many companies are experimenting with AI, but relatively very few are using. And when we compare between US or any developing countries and in India,
Yeah.
there's a lot of resistance towards integrated. Where do you see the strongest real world use cases for AI in areas such as energy efficiency, emission reduction, supply chains, and ESG decision making? Now, why am I smiling is because AI itself consumes so much of energy. Now, that's quite an ironical thing. So, what is your take on that?
Firstly, I strongly agree with that. Uh, it's like the vehicle transporting the fuel itself consumes a lot of fuel, and that's where a lot of a strong conscience is required to ensure that you are able to save more than what you are able to consume. What I mean by that is that if AI is the brain, then sustainability should be its conscience. Now, there are various areas in which it can create a humongous amount of impact. So, to give you an example, smarter supply chains. Now, you talk about supply chain in almost any industry. It could be food and beverages industry, retail industry, fast fashion, or across tech manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, or most of those. We see a lot of wastage today in terms of resources. Now, smarter supply chain solutions can better plan based on the demand, can have digital twins which can mirror the real life situation and identify the challenges which are there. It could be, let's say, a drop in temperature, a change in humidity, um, a fire or a water leakage or a host of different things. And that's where some of these digital twins supplemented by AI can be far more predictive in terms of ensuring and managing that the inventory pilferage or wastage is reduced. There can be a lot of predictive logistics that can be put into place to ensure that the demands are met and the supply chain does not stop, creating massive challenges in discrete manufacturing. And overall, the fuel consumption is also lowered. There are various IoT devices and the kind of data that a lot of these IoT devices are able to generate is humongous. That's not something that us as humans have the capability to manage. or to even monitor. And that's where a lot of AI is required as well. So this improves overall sustainability and profitability as long as the implementation of this is consciously done. And we always have that balance sheet with us that tells us that we are saving more than what we are consuming. So productive and effective implementation is something which is extremely important. Same goes for a lot of predictive maintenance as well. So rather than simply replacing a lot of equipments that undergo failure, AI can predict a lot of these failures before they occur, leading to lesser downtime, less waste, lower carbon footprint, and the likes. Uh, the third and the biggest aspect that I will uh, touch upon here is even as a product team, what a lot of us have started consciously doing is intertwining ESG as part of our broader ecosystem. Now, ESG need not be an add-on solution or a dashboard that today most of the organizations have, where it just feeds information from a few places. It does data consolidation, reporting, regulatory mapping, and the likes. But then again, it needs to generative AI is something that can help automate a lot of these aspects of data consolidation, report drafting, as well as compliance monitoring to ensure that it gives you firstly a holistic perspective, and secondly, it does not become an add-on that may or may not have a direct impact on the actual solution. So to round it off, what I would say is that it's more sustainability should be a visibly invisible output because it needs to be part of every decision across not just a product life cycle but even a business life cycle.
It's an interesting take that you have mentioned, but I would still insist that AI itself has growing environmental footprints.
It
Well,
does.
data
Yeah,
centers,
yeah.
yeah, the computing infrastructure, energy use, water consumption, and it needs fresh water. Like we human, we still have Bisleri water, which is not really fresh, but it needs fresh water. So, how should businesses balance the sustainability benefits of AI with its own resources?
All right. So as they say that the smartest AI implementation or usage is not the one that is able to use the most amount of tokens, most amount of compute power. It's the one that delivers the most amount of value per watt. Uh, Having said that, I'm not saying that we need to stop using AI. But as I said, it needs to generate more value per watt per resource that we are able to invest or use in. Um, I think over the last 3 odd years, a major part of the last 3 odd years have been experimentation. Experimentation in terms of trying out different and newer technologies across different facets of businesses, business functions, across different talent that we have in the industry, because all of us also had to learn a lot more, think a lot more differently um, to ensure that we are able to use it effectively. So a lot of experimentation has gone into play already. We have, I think, we have gone over that hump now, and the intent now is to make it far more useful. So it's at times similar to a lot of experimentation that we all are we all have the freedom to do in schools, or at least we should be. But then again, as you kind of step into the real world, you need to be more productive. You need to show results, and that's where things are moving from um, an ROI that should include, as you rightly put it, environmental ROI as well. What emissions or waste does a model actually consume or reduce? There are various questions that AI needs to answer and justify to justify its footprint as well. Now, not every business problem requires the largest and the most complex large language model. Oftentimes, very smaller models or lesser compute powers, domain-specific AI, or even for that matter, edge AI can deliver better and sustainable results. So that's where even choosing the right tool. I won't call it weapon, but let's say choosing the right tool helps. You don't use, at times a needle to fight the war or a knife, to sew clothes or otherwise. So it's at times choosing the right tool. The other aspect also comes in terms of governance. Now, responsible AI should measure a lot of things in terms of energy consumption, carbon impact, water usage, and a host of other things. And too much of regulation stops or impedes innovation, and too less creates a huge risk for the environment and everything along with it. And while we say that uh, governance is something that should be done by the regulatory bodies, I think all of us in corporates have understood that governance or corporate governance is something which is existential or extremely important for each and every organization today. And that's where, a lot of sessions like these can help inculcate some of those behaviors as well. That this is something that a lot of organizations or your peers are doing. So feel that FOMO, feel that fear of missing out, and bring out some of those governance matters within your organization as well. The last point that I would want to mention here is thinking in terms of a complete life cycle. Now, environmental impact isn't only in terms of training models. It also includes environment is also impacted in hardware procurement, infrastructure, creating a lot of these inferences, disposing of all of these solutions as well. And that's where sustainability needs to be completely end to end. So
That
I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's
Well,
very well said. 3 points. I would also like to add that there are many avenues wherein they are thinking of having the data centers in the space, under the ocean, so to curb the emissions, but still to be discovered. Now, with the advent of all the AI tools, the cost of building software is next to negligible. So, what does it take for an organization to move from an AI pilot or proof of concept to enterprise-wide scalability? You see, what roles do leadership, data readiness, technology infrastructure, and employee capability play in that journey? We ourselves have a few AI tools, and after this session, I would like to give a demo so that you can tell us what does it take.
Okay, absolutely. I think that's good brand integration, I'll say. Okay, on a serious note, to answer that question, Harsha, now pilots prove technology. However, when you see any of these pilots scale, that proves leadership. Okay. Now, uh, generally, the way it goes about is that the leadership sets a direction, and at times there are a lot of AI initiatives which are being drawn out. A lot of them fail, and these aren't essentially technology failures, but they are more to do with prioritization. Now, that's where I think you have a great cohort on the panel today as well, where it is the leadership's responsibility to define why AI must exist in an organization. A couple of years back, I think everybody was on that bandwagon saying that it has to be there. We have to try something out. Let's throw things on the wall and see what sticks. So that mindset has changed a lot. The second aspect here is it requires a lot of groundwork. What I mean by the groundwork is that it's your data, processes, and people. Data essentially is the fuel for AI. along with a lot of context that gets provided to it. So the classic uh, saying of garbage in, garbage out is absolutely essential in terms of data. So if an enterprise's data cannot be trusted, or if it cannot be used, you can't throw an AI system over it and saying that, okay, it's going to solve all the problems. Even the best AI does not produce outcomes which are relevant. The second aspect is processes, or let me firstly jump on the people aspect of it. Now, people need to remain central of all of these initiatives, where AI adoption succeeds only when employees understand how AI helps, how they can challenge it, and lastly, how they can trust it. So this is the entire cycle of change management along with technology, AI, and people, which becomes extremely important. And the third aspect that I mentioned was in terms of processes or architecture. So when you have AI and people working together, we have seen things transforming radically. So say for example, us being a product-driven organization, we are, our primary revenue actually comes from sale of products, right? So a lot of sales people came up and told us that we have this classic 6 stage or 7 stage sales cycle where we qualify an account, we create a bill of material, we understand the customer's requirements, we create a solution proposition around it, we clarify that, finalize that, and thereafter, why do we need to go through this cycle? How can we transform it completely? Now it's a lot more about selling it to individuals or selling it to B2Bs, at least in our sphere. And a lot of that can be short circuited in terms of how you are going to approach to a customer or approach an account. Talking more from a sales organization perspective right now. So the entire life cycle can be transformed, it can be broken, and it can be redone to ensure that we are not just automating things like we used to way back in digital transformation, but we are completely rethinking the way it gets done.
That's thank you for putting across these points. I'm sure it's very helpful. Now, yeah, but I would still give you the demo, and you can still
Oh,
tell
yeah,
me
yeah,
what.
absolutely. Would love to.
Yeah. Now, looking ahead, what kind of collaboration is required, according to you, in between technology companies, sustainability professionals, policymakers, academia, and institutions such as IICSR to ensure that AI becomes a genuine accelerator for sustainable development rather than simply another technology trend?
Okay. That's a nice one. I like that. So I think we all understand that AI learns a lot from data and context that is provided to it, whereas society learns from collaboration. Now, this is not a journey that we all are taking to be more and more competitive in terms of an AI, building an AI ecosystem, but it's more of a collaborative system where it's not the smartest company, but the most collaborative ecosystem that is going to gain most amount of success and stability. So I believe a lot of technology companies today, they need to build responsible, transparent, and AI which is measurable and observable, not just the most powerful models in the market or on the planet. Secondly, it, there are a lot of sustainability professionals and roles which are being created currently in the market today, and they must define and at times address the right problems. Technology can be used to solve a lot of sustainability problems, as we discussed earlier on this call as well. Uh, it does end up creating some of the newer ones. I agree with you on that one. But as long as it's able to solve more than what it's able to create, I think we'll still be in a plus plus. Thirdly, I believe there is going to be enough regulation around it going forward. Um, we see the regulations slacking in general across different parts of the world, especially in India, when we talk about making some of the policies around using, giving fresh water, giving tax incentives and the likes. So there needs to be an adaptive regulation. I think none of the policy makers also can get it right on the day one. And that is something that needs to be encouraged to make it more adaptive, to make the regulations more adaptive, to ensure that innovation thrives while protecting the society.
Yeah.
Fourthly, I am in touch with a lot of academia as well, and uh, they some of them have started moving away or from the traditional domains like the typical HR, finance, marketing, operations across some of the B schools or MBA schools, and have created career tracks where they want to enable their students to solve higher order problems. We can't be solving the same problems ideally with AI. We need to solve higher order problems because some of those basic problems are being taken care of now. So that's where they are creating these multidisciplinary tracks and developing talent, um, which who understand or who have that zest of various aspects like AI, sustainability, ethics, business, public policies, um, at times even psychology and a host of other things. So it's a lot of these multidisciplinary learnings which are creating amazing bit of talent. And lastly, it's to do with a lot of institutions like yours that can be a bridge between research industry and policy making organizations as well that can create that convening role, uh, thereby making sustainability as an ultimate shared challenge rather than a competitive advantage between two companies.
Hmm. I really appreciate that. But of course, in the tools, the less the number of watts used, the better and the more competitive it would be for sure.
Okay, lovely.
Now I have few fireside questions for you, and you need to answer in one word. Now, AI for sustainability, is it a game changer or is it just overhyped?
I believe it's a game changer with a little bit of a caveat. It amplifies whatever you do. So if you have the right strategy, it amplifies it. If you don't have the right strategy, it can create a mess.
Yes, indeed. Now, one sustainability challenge AI can solve the fastest, according to you. You can't take.
Slightly controversial, but Harsha, I'll say energy optimization.
Yeah, it's not slightly. It's very controversial. So now, but why would you say that?
So in terms of designing, making, and operating a lot of buildings, factories, data centers, it requires enormous amount of data. It requires enormous amount of talent, supply chain, and a host of other things. So I'm talking more from the application point of view, rather than basic consumption point of view. So I am trying to look at it as a balance sheet and not just as pure consumption.
Very well said. Very well said. Now, what is more critical for AI success? Better data or better leadership?
Better leadership in a heartbeat.
Okay. One AI trend every CEO should start preparing for today.
Augmenting their talent or employees with AI agents. We are there.
So I was watching one of the comic series on AI, and the CEO was building an AI to replace himself. So yeah, that is getting very common, I think. So some of them have already done it.
Yeah, so I mean, my thought of augmentation was uh, there are areas where AI can lead, especially in a lot of operational tasks. There are areas where a lot of leaders or humans or the respective talent in the organizations can lead in terms of strategic needs. And in between both of these, it's going to be a lot of these transformational tasks where they both need to work together, and hence I said that it needs to be, humans need to be augmented with AI and not replaced with AI.
Okay. Very well said. Thank you. Now, in one word, what will define responsible AI in the next decade?
Trust.
Thank you. No, it's a yeah. I totally agree with you. The trust
It didn't
factor.
require any more explanation, so I stopped there.
Yeah, yeah. Very well. Now, any final quote from your end? Any final quote before we conclude the session?
I think I've been in quite a few discussions lately around the same. So I'll kind of reinforce a couple of things that I mentioned earlier. The very first one is that we need to ensure that it gives more than it takes from us. Um, and That's where, if we are able to use it to solve slightly higher order problems and get done with a lot of lower order challenges or transactional aspects that we have today, I think that's fantastic. And in order to enable us to do that, we all need to think a little more strategically. Um, Empower the talent that we are having, and also become a lot more multidisciplinary amongst ourselves as well. A lot of us traditionally have known one thing and we have been doing one thing best. It could be finance, it could be marketing, it could be something else. I think over a period of time we have learned, but the idea is to broaden our learning ecosystem and our horizons a lot more to be able to see those higher order problems and solve them. You're on mute, Harsha.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so very much, Setu, for sharing all the information and wisdom. Really appreciate it. On this note, I would like to thank all the participants and on the all the viewers who and we contributing to these educational sessions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Harsha, and your team for having this fantastic event, and lovely catching up with you after a long time. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. After 25 years. Thank you. Bye.